Ahoy there, today on the Red Sea, have you ever almost been killed? My mom and dad divorced when I was 3 and mother married a meth head after that. They were going to a farm to steal some ammonia. They were making and selling meth. I had no idea what was going on. I was only 6 when this happened. But I wanted to go with them instead of being left alone at the trailer again. So we get to this farm at the butt crack of dawn and Charles slips out with a jug and a cooler. He comes back, peels out of there with the ammonia in the floorboard. The fumes filled the single cab truck and I could not breathe. I was flailing and gasping, but they would not open the windows for fear that the cops would smell it going 100 down the highway. I remember seeing black splotches in my vision before passing out. The next thing I remember is my face being pressed to the little back window and breathing sweet, clean air again. We got home, and I just slept for hours. This happened in the immediate aftermath of Hurricane Katrina, within a few days, and was the most terrifying moment of my life. That me and my sister are still alive, and with our family is amazing. My sister and I were throwing a baseball in the front yard when my sister threw it badly, and I had to go chase it. Well, where I was going to get the ball I could see her, but a truck pulled up, and I'm assuming could not see me. Then a man jumped out, grabbed my sister, and jumped back into the truck. Unbeknownst to me, my dad also saw, but I took off running after the truck. I was only 15 at the time, but I played many sports and was quite athletic. And for whatever reason the truck stopped at the end of the street just long enough for me to reach it and open the door. I grab my sister who is fighting with the man in the front seat, but in the process of pulling on her I pull him out too, and we start fighting. I tell my sister to run and she does, but I cannot get away from the man. The driver walks around and tells me I have made a huge mistake and points a gun right in my face. All of a sudden I hear my dad bellow, "Drop it or I'll kill you both," with his shotgun aimed at the guy's chest. The guy I'm wrestling with lets go and jumps in the truck, but the other guy was not so lucky. He rounded the truck with the gun still in his hand and my dad shot. My dad says he barely nicked him, just to get the point across. But the man screamed, dropped the gun, jumped in the truck and took off. As he drove off, dad shot the truck, so cops could identify it easier. There was a significant amount of blood where the guy had been shot. Also, just to give you an idea of what things are like when the government is broken, we called the cops. And after hearing that we were okay, they told us sorry, but they had bigger things to deal with. A couple of winters ago I went out drinking with my roommates, and all night afterwards I felt like absolute crap. Headache, vomiting, sweating profusely, extremely disoriented with auditory hallucinations. In my confused state it figured it was just the alcohol or food poisoning or something, but in the morning it discovered that the same thing happened to everybody else in the house. Turns out the chimney for our heater had gotten clogged and was leaking carbon monoxide into the house all night while we slept. The maximum safe ppm for CO is something like 24 ppm. I ran out and got a detector, and it immediately started chirping with a readout of over 800 ppm. The gasworks guys would not even step back into the house after they took their reading, and according to them, we probably should not have lived through the night, and would definitely all be dead if we'd spent another few hours in the house. Moral of the story: buy a damn carbon monoxide detector if you do not already have one. Carjacked by a guy who had just robbed an auto store. I had just gotten done dropping my then wife off at the airport. She was flying back to California for Christmas. I stopped by Wendy's on the way because nothing says woo woo a week of peace and quiet like 2 junior bacon cheeseburgers. Unknown to me, at about this time, 3 people were robbing an auto parts store in Georgetown, Texas. Georgetown is a small town north of Austin and Round Rock, but still very much a suburb of Austin. These 3 pistol whipped the clerks, stole money, and stole a vehicle to get away. They proceed to go down south on I-35 from Georgetown to Austin. One of the clerks flagged down a passing cop and pointed out the stolen vehicle, so by this time the 3 idiots had 2 cop cars in pursuit of them. Meanwhile, I was driving northbound on the frontage road of I-35. The frontage road was moving much faster than the freeway was, and I kind of degrading the frontage roads. This was also the last Friday before Christmas that year, so I suspect we had a lot more traffic than normal. The suspects hit a traffic jam on southbound I-35 and traffic literally came to a halt. 2 of the suspects jumped out of the car and over the center divider. Multiple officers did the same thing, giving pursuit. 1 cop shattered his ankle while landing because it was about an 8-foot drop. The 3rd guy gave up in the car. I was about to meet a guy with a gun. About this time I saw a sheriff's deputy running southbound on the northbound shoulder. Traffic in front of me came to a standstill, and so did I. At this point I saw the cop stop about 60 feet away and draw his gun. I turn my head to see someone standing at my door. He reaches into his waistband, pulls out a gun, puts it to my head and says, "Get out of the ducking car." Meanwhile the deputy is yelling, "Drop the gun, get down, etc. etc." As I was getting out of the car and the carjacker was getting in, he put the gun to the back of my head. Sheriff then fired the first shot. It hit the carjacker in the shoulder and knocked the gun away from my head. They then started exchanging shots with each other. I hit the deck and then, realizing how close I was to the action, got up, ran like hell for the grass and dropped there. The third guy kept running all the way to Mexico. He has never been caught. Suspect got hit 3 times. He was hit in the shoulder, head and through the hand. The shot to the head entered the front of his head and went around the outside of the skull and exited the back of his head. Didn't pierce his skull at all. And for a little bit of karma justice, he additionally got shrapnel from my dashboard in his stomach as it exploded from the gunfire. I survived with glass in my head and a new lease on life. Afghanistan. Homemade explosive went off under Ostrika. I'm told it was approximately 200 pounds of the stuff. My squad leader sitting in the seat next to me is killed by the blast. 2 others lose both legs. Guy across from me has bones in all of his limbs and several vertebrae broken. The person who was killed had traded spots with me so he could take a piss not a few minutes before the explosion. I'm still dealing with the guilt. Although one of my feet got jacked up pretty good and the army is kicking me out because of it, I still feel like I have no place to complain, and I try to live my life more fully and be a better person in honor of the man who died instead of me. One February day 10 years ago, a younger, 11 years old, and nerdier version of me was walking home from school together with a few classmates. The temperature had been around 0 degrees Celsius for the last week, some days above, resulting in thawing of the still thick layer of snow, and some days right below, refreezing the water, creating extremely slippery roads. As we were walking uphill, happy that the school was over for the day, some of the cooler kids started to throw snowballs at each other. Suddenly they decided to all gang up on the smallest amongst the group, me. As the snowballs flew towards me through the air, I flinched and took a step backwards, slipped on a spot of ice, and fell out on the road. As I spin around 180 degrees in midair, I can see the old Volvo just a few meters from me, heading in my direction. Downhill, on an icy road. As I fall on my stomach and close my eyes in fear of what I think will be my death, I can hear the brakes screeching and my classmates screaming, and suddenly I feel something bump into my backpack and pushes a foot downhill. After a moment of complete silence, me thinking I was dead, I finally realize I was not, and I dared to open my eyes. All I see is the dark rubber of a wheel, inches away from my face. My backpack, or rather the amount of school books in my backpack, saved me by getting hit by the front of the car with enough force to push me to safety, leaving my head intact. Without those extra 5 inches on my back, my brain would have ended up as a puddle of red jello on the road, and thanks to the old man in the car, slowing down to 5 mph when passing playing school children, being fast enough on the brakes, and having put on brand new winter tires for the season. To sum it up, do your homework, kids. It might save your life. Got stung by a jellyfish when I was a kid. Without medical attention I would have died. Australia ISN not a peaceful place. When I was visiting India, at the age of 7 or something, 3 trucks ran over the motor rickshaw me and my family were in. The driver died. My aunt's arm got messed up really bad. My toe was bleeding, but surprisingly no one else got hurt. The trucks did not stop. They obviously just wanted us out of the way. Running people over was their solution. I remember it very distinctly, because I landed on my butt, facing the trucks, and one of them ran over my toe. If I landed a couple inches closer to the trucks ... I do not even want to think about it. Wow, that sucks. The roads in India are gruesome. I remember the first time I went to India, when I was 6. I still thought the whole world was like the USA. This was back in the late 80s, when India was dirt poor. My first memory was a naked grown man taking a bath in the middle of the street while cars whizzed around him. The thing that really stuck with me though was the large number of overturned trucks we saw on a 4-hour round trip. I think I counted 6. And in one of them there was blood still seeping out of the windshield. Later on that trip I saw a guy who had just had his leg cut off by our train. I also got a fever of 105 and almost died on that trip. Woo, good times. I was technically dead for a while. Do not even know how long. Though I was never pronounced dead by a doc. By the time a doc saw me, the Coast Guard had revived me. I have posted the story before, but it seems fitting, so I'll throw it in here again. was windsurfing at a local competition. Out of my league. In really cold water without the right wetsuit and overpowered. Ed rigged up a sail way too big for the wind speeds we were seeing. Was way off to the side. Out of view practicing. Tried a move it never pulled off before and took my mast to the side of the head, knocking me out cold. I was wearing a life jacket. I usually do not, but this camp required them. Needless to say, now I rarely go out without one. Anyway, long story short, remember coming to, did not know how long it'd been out, but I was severely hypothermic. Tried swimming to shore, but was too far out and blacked out again. From the cold this time. Another competitor came across my drifting rig, knew it was bad, and went straight to shore to tell the organizers. They in turn tell the Coast Guard, who eventually pulled me out of the water. By then I did not have a pulse. They start CPR and thankfully had a defib. Gave me the zap, and now I get to tell the story about how my own stupidity actually killed me. Do not know if it's related. But after the zap I developed an interesting spiral pattern in my chest hair that I still have now. Probably not related, but I like to think it is. As for the whole light thing, did not see anything. Just felt really tired and felt myself slipping away. Best analogy I can think of is one of those really boring long lectures for a class you did not even like when you were hungover. You really do not want to fall asleep, but no matter how hard you fight it, you just keep fading into slumber. If you are reading this, you made it until the end of the video. Smash that like button if you watched it all. Bam. On screen there should be some more videos similar to this. So either go do something else or watch more videos. That's about it. There is no more here. What are you waiting for, a secret message or something? This is not a secret, but subscribe for more videos like this.